All right, well, hello. We are in September. It's September 2nd. We are in the month of Our Lady of Sorrows. So I have the September calendar up on the community. So I thought I would just do a video and go over that, some of the key things with you ladies. And so I will pull up the calendar and we will chat. I'll also share, it's Meal Monday for me, so I've made my meal plan posts as well as sharing some different recipes on water kefir and making a shrub drink, which is going to be one of my food projects for the week. I'm going to play around with that, so I will talk a little bit more about that as well. But here is our calendar. So we have quite a bit going on. I included the fun days in blue. So yesterday was Ginger Cat Appreciation Day. If anyone's got an orange ginger kitty. We have Grandparents' Day coming up next Sunday, the first day of fall, and World Gratitude Day. So it would be really nice in some of these days to see some of you posting. First day of fall, it would be lovely to see pictures of the fall leaves in your area, or any, like, for people in warmer climates that maybe don't get the color on the leaves, like what does fall look like for you? Do you still have pumpkins around or squash? Would love to see some of that. Same with World Gratitude Day. I think I'll create a form maybe, or a thread in general chat a little bit closer to World Gratitude Day, and it would be great to sort of see just people post one thing they're grateful for, and yeah, and to sort of just share all the different ways we can praise and thank God for all the blessings in our lives. And then I do have a section in the community under praise reports, or prayer requests and praise reports for Grandparent Day. So I'll bring that up and then we'll come back to the calendar. So if you go to prayer requests and praise reports, I have done a thread where we can request prayers for our grandparents leading up to Grandparent Day, and then of course on Grandparent Day. So you can feel free to leave the names of your grandparents, whether they're living or deceased. We'll pray for them. You can include pictures, anything you want. But so all of that is there. I have shared here, there's a picture of my maternal grandparents. They're both deceased. All four of my grandparents are deceased at this point. But these would be my mom's parents on their wedding day. That's my grandma Louise and my grandpa Rial, or Raoul. They were French Canadians. But yeah, so that's them on their wedding day and then them on their 50th wedding anniversary. So, so if I could it'd be lovely to get some prayers for the repose of their souls. I also have some pictures of my paternal grandparents that my mom will be sending. So I will add those as a comment once I get them. So yeah, feel free to contribute to this thread so we can pray for your grandparents, and we can do that up to September 8th, and then of course September 8th itself, and then throughout the month. We will keep that in our prayer intentions. So speaking of prayer, we can look at our rosary schedule for the month because we have also increased our rosaries. Emma continues to graciously offer every Thursday to pray with us in Spanish. So her schedule is there. This upcoming Thursday, the time needed to be different, but the rest of them are going to be at 2 p.m. Eastern, unless, we'll make an announcement if we need to change that. So we pray the Luminous Mysteries in Spanish with her on Thursdays. So, and again, any member of Mary's Roses is welcome to join us. And we're going to actually open up our rosary to pretty much anyone. I'll clarify that statement, but first let's just look at the rest of the rosary schedule. So we're going to add the Glorious Mysteries in English on Wednesdays. I schedule those at 8 p.m. Eastern, so that will be an evening option. And then Fridays, we are going to do the Sorrowful Mysteries in mostly Latin. And those are going to be around 3:15 Eastern. So what we're gonna do with the rosary, so I mentioned in my last update that we're not going to record them anymore. We will announce if there's any special rosaries that we will record, that we'll make that known before. But our weekly rosaries are just going to be done live, and whoever can join us live is welcome to. If you can't join us live, but you have an intention you like to pray for, then you can send me a message or put that up in our prayer request and praise reports space, and we'll certainly include that in our intentions. And we also really enjoyed, so when we did the rosaries for the Olympics, we opened up the rosary to everybody. You know, it was an open invitation to anyone who wanted to pray for that intention, and that was a lot of fun. We got some really beautiful people joining us, and there was, like I mentioned before, we had, you know, a North American rosary where we had a group of us praying here in Canada. We had people from the States and then Mexico even. So that was really beautiful and a lot of fun. So what we've decided we will do with the rosaries, that our members are free to invite anyone to pray along. So if you would like to join us and pray with your husband is more than welcome to join us. You can invite other family, friends, your children. The only caveat is that, like, we don't want these random people coming in and praying with us. So I would just ask that anyone who joins be invited by a community member. But otherwise, again, these are going to be open to everyone who would like to join. So, you know, if you want, again, like male, female, adult, child. So we'll see how it goes. And that's Sean, my husband, really enjoys being able to join us. So we'll see him at some of them. Probably he'll join us at quite a few of the Friday ones, 3:15. He just gets off of work, so that gives him a little bit of time to get downstairs from work and to join. And that's another reason why I wanted to try some evening rosaries, to sort of see, you know, people who are home from work and maybe done supper and then would like to join in prayer. If you and your husband would like to join, or you and your children, or if you're with a friend who would like to join, again, it is, it would be lovely to have as many people who are interested come together and pray with us. So the Zoom link is posted in the comments of the calendar. All the rosaries just will use the same Zoom links. So yeah, so that's our rosary schedule. And I am going to start tomorrow doing live reflections on Eating the Sunrise. They will be recorded and the replays will be available in the Eating the Sunrise book club section. This is available to Gold Rose members. So any Gold Rose members are welcome to join live, even if you're not reading the book. That's one thing I said in my recorded reflection from last week, is that it would just be really fun just to, I can come on and sort of share a summary of what, like my understanding of what I read and sort of my thoughts. And then it would be really great to sort of have some people, you know, asking questions or being like, oh, that's really interesting. I'm just giving their thoughts. You know, again, even if you haven't read the book, there are still topics and themes that we can all talk about and discuss. So feel free to join live if you can at 2:00 Eastern starting tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll do chapter 2. And then the following chapters until the end of the book will be on Mondays. Today is Monday. It's a holiday here in Canada, so that's why I decided to do Tuesday tomorrow. So the link to join for that is in the Eating the Sunrise book club space. The calendar with the dates and times is also there. And finally, we have our liturgical, some liturgical events highlighted in purple. So today is the feast day of Saint Ingrid of Sweden. And tomorrow we celebrate a doctor of the church, Saint Gregor the Great. And then, of course, this is the month dedicated to Our Lady of Sorrows, so her feast day is on the 15th. And we have an Ember Week this week. So for those who may not know, 4 times a year, the church traditionally observed Ember Weeks. These were 3 days of extra prayer and fasting for specific intentions. This is the fall Embertide. I will look up the specific intentions for it. I cannot think of it right now at the top of my head. But whenever there's one of these weeks, you can do extra prayer and fasting on Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays of this week. So the fall Embertide falls on the Wednesday after the exaltation of the Holy Cross. The next Embertide will be the winter one, and that happens on the first Wednesday after St. Lucy's feast day in December. So I'll post a little bit more on the Ember Weeks in the Liturgical Living section, but if these are optional too, they are not required, but anyone who chooses to participate, to offer extra prayer and fasting as you're able to, those days are highlighted. And I also wanted to focus a little bit more on learning on some different female saints. So we've got St. Ingrid of Sweden, St. Rosalia, St. Regina, or Regina on Saturday. So I'm going to see what I can find on some of these women and share them in the Liturgical Living section. I'll try and get some stuff up on Instagram as well about them. And then I also included, again, any doctors of the church whose feast days we celebrate. So that would be St. Gregor the Great, St. Robert Bellarmine, and St. Jerome, St. John Christensen. And then I just include some other feast days that I thought would be nice to observe. I'm going to add St. Rosalima should be here with St. Vincent de Paul, so I'll add her. But St. Vincent de Paul is on there. Just, most of us are probably familiar with the St. Vincent de Paul Society and the work they do. So it's an opportunity to honor the founder of all that and a saint of our church. St. Joseph of Capernino, I think is how you say it. There's a beautiful movie about him that's actually really well acted and produced, and it's a great movie that I'll share. I think we watched it on Forum. But again, just another very beautiful, simple saint with a great story. And St. Matthew, the Apostle, we celebrate him on the 21st. And then a few other Marian feast days, so Our Lady of Ransom, the Nativity of the Blessed Virgin Mary, and the Holy Name of Mary, and then of course the Exaltation of the Holy Cross. So that is what September is looking like. So you can find the calendar and announcements, news and events. All the links and the description is there. So feel free to browse that. But of course, today is also Meal Monday for me. So I sat down and I did my usual meal plan share under recipe and meal plans. So you can feel free to take a look at that. This week is a little bit different. Sean, my husband, is going to be away for part of the week. And whenever he's away, I use it as an opportunity to try and cook some of the stuff that I wouldn't cook if he was home. Like we have a ton of beans and he can't eat beans. So him being away is usually a good opportunity for me to find some new bean recipes. So I tend to go a little bit more vegetarian when he's away, or at least use more beans in my recipe, even if it's mixed with meat, just to, again, to use up some of these ingredients that are sitting around. So, and I also included a recipe from this book, the Rebar Modern Food Cookbook. It is vegetarian. It's not vegan, it's a vegetarian cookbook. It's a restaurant that is in Victoria, British Columbia. I have never eaten there, but I came across this book in a bookstore, or actually probably a grocery store in Vancouver when I used to live there. So every now and then, if I'm looking for a good vegetarian recipe, I like to pull up this cookbook. So I've decided that on Wednesday, I'm going to try a variation of this Greek red lentil soup. So the recipe is posted there. There's a link to the cookbook. There's a link to a few other recipes that I'm going to try this week. And I've listed some of the other food projects I'm going to try this week. So as I mentioned in my intro, I'm going to try fermenting some water kefir. And I have a whole bunch of spaghetti squash seeds from a spaghetti squash I roasted. We're going to use it for supper tonight, the spaghetti squash. So I'm going to clean up the seeds and roast them, probably just with some salt and pepper, maybe some paprika or turmeric. I'll kind of decide. So I'm going to do that a little later on. And I've got my water kefir grains with some starter fluid. I picked those up yesterday. I'm part of a homesteading Facebook group, and I just made a post on the group saying, like, does anyone have any extra grains that, I can either buy or that you want to give away? And someone generously donated this to me. So I'm going to be watching some videos on how to ferment the water and turn it into a kefir. And the whole thing that inspired me to do this was a YouTube video by the Cottage Fairy. So it's all in this post that I shared under Food General Chat. So this is the video I'm going to use, a Mary's Nest video, to learn how to ferment the water. But I was inspired by this video here by the Cottage Fairy. She talks a lot about her self-care and how she needed to pivot her self-care when she had a baby. But later on in the video, let me just pause it here, I'll mute it. She starts making drinking vinegar, and I'm watching her make this, and I'm like, what is this drink? Like, she's pouring apple cider vinegar into a jar and adding flower petals and fruit. So that got me really interested just hearing her talk about, like, here she is, she's putting orange peel in it. She's got, I'm not too sure what flower it is. There, she's pouring the apple cider vinegar. And yeah, and then she lets it ferment. It turns into a syrup. And then she puts the syrup in a glass and drinks this nice sparkling water drink. And she was referring to it as drinking vinegar throughout the video. And I'm like, what is this drinking vinegar stuff? I've never heard of that. So I looked it up. And it's this thing called shrub. So again, I shared a link to that in the post. I'll just bring the post back up here. But basically you make a vinegar syrup, and then you can add it to water, sparkling water, or alcohol. So that it caught my interest. That's like, I brew kombucha, I do milk kefir, and I'm just like, oh, this is totally up my alley. I'm fascinated by this. So there's a link on shrub drinks with some different ideas. They don't give you an exact recipe, but there's some different ideas on the kind of different things you can make. But they all suggest adding things to sparkling water, or adding the syrup to sparkling water. I don't have a soda stream. I can't say that I'm interested in spending over $100 on this machine and adding more things like machines to my kitchen just so that I can have this drink whenever I feel like it. So I did an internet deep dive, and good old Joshua, I found a video of his where he makes soda out of water kefir. So I posted his video. The beginning of the video is about how he makes water kefir. He uses dehydrated grains, so his method won't be what I follow. I'm going to do it more along the lines of Mary's Nest. All the videos buffering here. But then the end of the video, he makes some sodas. So again, he gives some ideas on some different different drinks you can make once you have your water cookers. So if anyone else is as interested in this as I was, all the links are there in the community. So yeah, so that is September, that is this week. Hopefully you all are having a beautiful September so far. Hopefully you will have a beautiful September. We'll pray for your children and the school year, regardless of whether they're going to school or if you're homeschooling. We'll keep all of that in prayer for sure. Make sure you stay on top of your self-care. If you are homeschooling and as schedules change and maybe get a little bit busier for you, just make sure you're looking after yourself. And hopefully we'll see some of you at our live rosaries. Again, feel free to invite anyone that might be interested in joining us. And we'll see you in the community. God bless.